Achieving new feats in your career requires the perfect blend of determination, hard work, skills, and knowledge. The first two you build, the other half you acquire. The job market is always evolving, and only those with flexible skills and a strong knowledge base can adapt. The question you may ask is, how do I find time to acquire these skills between my busy schedule, tons of meetings, deadlines, and my personal life? Meet Femi, a young staff in a financial firm. He is dedicated to his work and he gives his best on every assignment. Despite his work ethic, his boss often complains about the final output and his ability to innovate. Femi knows something is missing. Therefore, he decided to improve his skills and gain more technical knowledge. However, every business school he found either served irrelevant knowledge or things he already knew. This, coupled with the rigid learning structure, made it impossible to find the right business school. His friend recommended an array of innovative managerial courses from Rome Business School, Nigeria to him. Femi was reluctant to apply, but right after the first lecture, he knew he had made the right choice. Rome Business School is a managerial training and research institute par excellence. We aim to play a role in closing the gap between the academic world and the job market by providing managerial training courses suited to convey the knowledge necessary to kick off or develop professional careers or business activities. The Rome Business School has obtained the ISO 9001:2015 certifications, which recognize the top quality standards of our training activities. The ISO 9001:2015 accreditation gives our institutions the quality systems that provide the foundation for excellent student satisfaction and continuous improvement. In Nigeria, an average of 500,000 employees are due for a
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Please confirm if you can hear me. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. All right. Good afternoon once again, everyone. Welcome to this RBSN Talent Focus session. I would like to welcome Mr. Yemi also. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Oluyemi. Thank you so much for joining us. And we also have here with us the moderator for today's session, Letitia. Thank you, Letitia. Thank you for joining us. So very quickly, so that we don't get to waste so much of time, we'll go on to the session. I'll be handing over to Letitia, who will be moderating the session. So Letitia, over to you. Didactic, please unmute, Letitia.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Justina. I appreciate the opportunity. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. And I welcome you to our RBS Talent Focus session, where we will be exploring competency-based interviews for leadership roles. My name, like Justina has said, is Letitia Mobana. I'm the Group Head, Human Resources for Full Range Holding Company Limited, and it's my pleasure to moderate today's event, which brings top personalities from prestigious industry and the Arts to Human Role Business School, so that our community can learn from. I'm excited about today's program personally because I'm passionate about everything HR. So today, we have our special guest, Mr. Oluyemi Adeosun, who will be speaking to us on the topic, exploring competency-based interview for leadership role. But before I introduce him, I would like to, say some house rules here. Please mute your microphones when you are not speaking, so the background noise will be reduced, okay? Secondly, use the chat function for your questions. If you have any question, please make use of the chat box, and then be respectful, air your opinion respectfully, avoid distractions. I believe that's the only way you can, get as much value for this section as possible. So I'm going to start with an abbreviated version of Mr. Yemi's bio. Oluyemi is a highly experienced, top-performing and skilled human resource expert with 16 years experience across high-profile industries, including power, oil and gas, telecommunications, broadcasting, real estate, advertising, consulting, and volunteer work. He's also a researcher. He offers professional expertise and a diverse range of skills within training and development, organization strategy development, business partnership, change management, employee relationship management, and administrative HR. He is a member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, Senior Professional Human Resources International, Global Practitioner Human Resources. He has an MBA as well as Master's in Economics from University of Lagos. Please, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Mr. Oluyemi. Please, Mr. Oluyemi, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, Leticia. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My profound appreciation to the entire team for giving me the opportunity to come here to share from my wealth of experience. Okay, we'll be doing this together within the allotted time. Thank you for all you do at Rome Business School. I happen to know quite a number of your students personally, and let me use street language, they don't fall my hand. All right, so we'll be looking at exploring competency-based interviews for leadership roles. And upfront, I will say this, that I'll be looking at it from two lenses. One side of the lens is as an HR person or as a management person trying to use it as a tool or framework for your recruitment. The other lens or paradigm or perspective is as someone who wants to leverage on competency-based interview to secure a job. I think it's very important because in my little knowledge, I realized that if you learn something for knowledge's sake versus if you also learn it because you want to teach others, the way you absorb and internalize the knowledge is different when you try to become a teacher. So you must not only know it, you must know it to be able to teach others, and you will be able to adequately, disseminate the information, utilize the information. Some of the things we'll be looking at in this particular module, the need for talent. Okay, we'll look at strategic workforce planning in brief, competency-based interviews, assessing competencies, approaching competency-based interviews as a candidate. We'll also be looking at leadership competencies. Then we'll look at improving success rates through objective evaluation. Last but not the least, we'll also identify and minimize the obstacles to fair and objective assignment. Okay, so just one more point here. We'll also be ensuring recruitment is in line with what? Organizational competencies. Okay, so our reality today, just to provide some background and context, is the fact that selection of talent has been described as a war. War means battle. War means many high-stake organizations are contending for a little amount of resources. Okay, the number of talents is not, so to speak, enough or sufficient to go around, especially at top level. Okay, so employers, organizations must use strategic means and approach, like for example, employer branding. They must leverage on both traditional and non-traditional approach like social media. And very importantly, they must treat candidates like kings. And when we talk about candidates, we're talking about talent, not just anyone here. So it's one thing for your organization or for you to put out an advert out there for a job role. It's another thing for top quality talents to reach out and respond. Okay, there are two approaches. Okay, one is talent focus, where you are looking at high quality talent. The other is vacancy focus. Vacancy focus, you are just looking at a vacancy and you are trying to fill it. When you are talent focused, even before there is a vacancy, you are already identifying and engaging with top talent for your critical roles. again, there are generally two types of roles. Generally, there will be more, but for the purpose of this conversation, okay, there are what we call critical roles. Okay, critical means very important. Okay, then we also have roles that are hard to fill. Now, a hard to fill role may not necessarily be critical, but it is important. All to say, don't forget that there is no unimportant role in the organization, but critical roles are strategic. Now, the title of this webinar is focusing on leadership roles. I need you to realize that leadership roles are both critical and hard to fill. I'll say that again. Leadership roles are very critical to the strategic success, to the sustainability of any organization, and it is hard to fill. Okay, leadership roles account for a significant portion of organizational headcount cost. Hence, they need to use the competency-based interview to ensure the right leadership style. So I will lay that foundation. We move on to some other areas. There are three factors, okay, that we need to consider. Okay, whether it is a critical role or a hard to fill role. Okay, now a critical role for the factors include, first and foremost, okay, what is the strategic importance of the role with regards to organizational success and competitiveness? What is the future workforce need for the role based on workforce planning numbers? Last but not the least, what is the availability of that talent in the external or general labor market? Don't forget again that a critical role is defined as what? Any role that delivers above average value through above average performance. While hard to fill roles are just roles recruiters have trouble staffing over a sustained period of time. Now let's pay attention. Please follow me. Okay? You can't afford to blink. Follow me. Now look at this particular image. Okay, courtesy of Academy to Innovate HR, and this image is showing a funnel, and that funnel is showing the base as the number of applications. So this is a hypothetical example. I'm sure some of you may have experience where way more number of people have applied, and you too might have been part of the large pool of applicants. For the purpose of this conversation, 250 applications, then you screen them to 50 through phone, and then you have a first round of interview for 25 people. Then you probably do case study for another 15. Then 5 out of the 15 interview with the executive team, and then you probably make 1 or 2 offers for the final shortlist. God help you that final shortlist will accept the job and will not, of course, be talking to multiple organizations at the same time. Now, if you are the job seeker, you are the professional now, it means you have to ensure that first and foremost, your application scales through a proper resume or through a proper LinkedIn profile or through referral. You need to be good enough to get in, and then you now need to be competent enough to scale through the interview, irrespective of the mode or approach of interview. All right, so we'll move forward. Now, right now showing, okay, it's a talent acquisition strategy, courtesy of Amman Trust, okay, but my core focus is not everything on the screen right now. I will focus on 2 areas. Don't forget again that the topic is focusing on leadership role. So, for the purpose of that, what is close to leadership role in this figure is what I will call executive search. Okay, now there are two layers here of executive search. So executive search focuses on just 2 sides. Okay, now the first role, okay, that has executive search, what is the priority of executive search? Okay, if you can see it, type it in the chat box. I need to also be sure that you are following both my voice and my slide. What is the priority, okay, for executive search on the first row? Okay, my cursor is on it. All right. Thank you so much, Olubode. Oga, thank you so much, Oluyemi. Exactly. So when you are looking at a leadership role, the focus is what? On effectiveness. Very key. Now, there's a second focus too, when you are looking at executive roles or leadership roles. And you will realize that the size of the board for this particular role is even bigger than the size of the board on the first one. Now, who can tell me in the chat box the key priority? In one word, the key priority is what? Excellence. Fantastic. So you cannot afford not to be excellent in everything you do. Two, you cannot afford not to come across as excellent. So you may be excellent in terms of knowledge, and you excellent in terms of communication. Don't forget that at a leadership level, we are looking at both effectiveness and excellence. Okay, I hope we are still with me. Now, what are we looking at with respect to candidates? Okay, two things. We are looking at the now, and then we are looking at the future. We are looking at the current, and we are looking at tomorrow. Let me backtrack a bit. Back in the days, when you are hiring for MT means management training. As you are asking questions, as you are drilling the candidate, you are trying to see that in 10, 20, 15, 25, 10, 8 years time, this potential candidate, if successful, can he or she become the managing director? Can he or she become the CEO? What are you doing by asking that question? You are looking at the future potential. Current potentials, we hire employees so that they can perform their assigned tasks, okay, well in their respective positions within the what? Shortest possible time. In other words, you want people who can literally, emphasis on literally, hit the ground running. Leadership roles. Future potential now, which focuses on more than the current competence, and this enlarges the relevant target. You are looking at what? Long term. So some of us, while we are in the business school, may not just be for today, it may be for both today and tomorrow. Certain things may be taught to you. You may not necessarily be able to apply it on your current role, but your next role on your next job will require it. And that's why, for example, we have what we call learning and development. Your learning focuses on what you need now that you can apply it, and then development focuses on what you will need tomorrow. Now, this is very important. As you are trying to, as a practitioner, an HR practitioner, management practitioner, and you are part of recruitment, as part of your purview, recruitment for roles into your organization, you need to ensure that the kind of experience you give candidates is excellent, is effective. One, speed. Okay, the company's reaction on incoming applications and all steps throughout the entire recruitment process should be generally faster than those of competition, as much as possible. Next, transparency. The candidate is always clear about their current status, why certain selection instruments are used, and they get appropriate appropriate feedback. Not that the candidate will come for an interview 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, no email to tell them about the status or to provide closure. Okay. 3, appreciation. Candidate is treated with full respect. The company consequently demonstrates its interest in those candidates it potentially wants to hire. Now, going down to the meat of today's conversation, competencies. Generally speaking, there are 4 components of competencies. 4 components of what? Competencies. The first one, okay, is experience. Experience. Experience means the kind of assignment, task, project, exercise you have done before. The experience. capability, what you can do. Okay, nobody, so to speak, wants to do trial and error. Okay, you want somebody that has been there, done that. Okay, all right. Next is knowledge. Don't forget that knowledge is what you know. And there are many sources of knowledge. Some include, for example, a formal business school program like what you are doing today, through this program, for example, online, YouTube, all the different HR platforms and learning virtual platforms, okay, our associations, knowledge. We also get knowledge on the job, okay, either from feedback from your line manager, colleagues, and even your subordinates. Third, but not the least, is what? Disposition. Now, some people also call this third point, disposition, attitude. Attitude. Okay, so when I say disposition, it's a synonym in this context as what? Attitude. It's one thing to be able to know something, it's another thing to be able to do something, it is yet another to want to do it. Disposition or attitude. Last but not the least, personality. Of course, different people have different personality types, and there are many theories around this, but on a very elementary, simplistic form, people could be, for example, very introverted or very extroverted. Certain roles fit into being introverted more than being extroverted. On the other side, some people are what we call people persons, while some other people are task or assignments or project focused. People focused or task focused, okay? Introverts or extroverts. Now, so that we can get it clearly, let me just use one example. So, I don't know if people on this call have, maybe in our younger days, or maybe we have younger ones, maybe they talk a lot. The next thing you will hear, go and study law. Why? If you can talk a lot, you expected to be a good solicitor, you know, a good advocate. Someone can go to court and argue case. So if you are extroverted, so to speak, you may be suited to do law. But let me ask a question quickly. Let me put a question forward, and I'll expect your swift response in the chat box. If you can talk a lot, I'm tempted to say garrulous or a talkative, but I'm not saying this in a negative sense. Do you think somebody who talks a lot or will make a good judge? Note my choice of word now. I'm not saying good lawyer. Someone who literally talks a lot almost every time. Do you really think? So I need a yes or no. And I'm trying to drive home my points so that either as a practitioner, management practitioner or HR practitioner, you just don't put people in a bucket and say, oh, because you talk a lot, you can't do law. Yes, you can do law, but what aspect of law? And because somebody is very quiet and that person tells you that, oh, I want to study law, don't write that person up and say, oh, because you don't talk, you want to be a lawyer. No, you first need to be a lawyer to either be a judge, okay, they will say to be on the bench, or are you with me? So you may be so to speak, someone who is extroverted and good in sales, but someone who is extroverted may not be a good sales analyst. Someone who is extroverted may be good in sales. Someone who is extroverted may not be a good sales analyst. Why? The competencies required in the same sales area is like really different. Okay, so I hope you understand this basic illustration I have used here. And so when we talk about competencies, we are looking at a combination of all these dimensions at different levels. Okay, at different levels. So just drop a thought, a comment. Are you getting value so far? Are you getting value so far? So why competency assessment? Ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, competency assessment focus on the job requirements. So, there is one slogan now we use in HR, maybe generally across board. You say, do you want to shake a table or shake the table? See, competency assessment, for example, will hardly put age as a factor. Why? Does age do the job? Most likely not. So competency assessment focus on job requirements. By using these job relevant questions, interviewers are better able to evaluate the extent to which candidates' skills and abilities match those required on the job. So I say this respectfully. So some of us, because of what we have done so far in our career, anytime we occupy a seat in an organization and we exit that seat in the organization, the next person that follows us is typically in trouble. Do you know why? If you are not careful, they will be comparing that person with us, rather than comparing that person with the job specification. Are we together? So when you are doing competency assessment, for example, you are literally not comparing two candidates. You are comparing each candidate against a set of well-defined job specifications. You may now close the session and say, which of the candidates was best? These are the selection criteria, which is well articulated. In other words, you are actually not comparing two candidates. So competency assessment helps us to work to focus. But the competency assessment are defensible because these interview questions are what? Job relevant. Candidate can see a clear link between the interview questions and what is what required on the job, on the function, on the role. Competency assessment also helps achieve what? Greater consistency. You can structure your interview process by making sure that all the candidates are literally assessed using the same set of interview questions. In other words, we are not freestyling. Okay? Because when you ask around the same set of questions, it shows that you are mirroring the same set of competencies, and you can literally more accurately judge the outcome of that process. Excuse me. Competency assessment also helps us to assess past behavior. It's a common saying, okay, that past behavior may be a mirror or a predictor, a determinant of what? Future behaviors. Yes, people change, but that remains to be seen. So past behavior can predict future behavior. Behavioral interview questions are helped as they require candidates to describe what they did in the past, which can help review past behavior, and which will be a determinant most likely for what they will do in the now or in the future. Last but not the least, okay, competency assessments have a higher interview rating score in terms of accuracy. Competencies increases the reliability of interview scoring by providing interviewers with observable what? Benchmark against which to evaluate interviewees what? Responses. So moving on. Okay, so competency-based interview is a technique. Okay, it's an approach designed to draw from candidates examples of how they think, how they speak, and how they act, albeit in the past tense. So how what was their thought process like? What was their response like? What was their actions like? Okay, this is what very, very, very key, very fundamental. So competency, okay, for effective competency-based interviews, generally, you should have a team of people doing it. At the minimum, maybe 2, can be 4 of that, depending on your manpower capability. But this is very important, and I need to put this out here now. Okay, some of us do this, we just, because people are senior, we just put them on interview panels. There is the art and skill of interview. I, as a person, I've been through quite a number of interviews that can be best described as interrogation. I'll say that again. Many HR people that I know have gone for, so to speak, interview in organizations, and it looked more like they were being drilled by the TSS. Due respect to the TSS, you know what I mean? An interview is not the same as an interrogation. So you need to have the panel members well trained. Kind of questions to ask. You should have a pool of questions, of course. how to frame the questions. Okay. Now, you also need to train them, because you don't want a situation where Oluyemi would describe a situation, what they did in that situation, the outcome, and Mr. A will say, this is excellent. However, the same scenario that I painted, Mr. B, who is also a member of the panel, will say, this is just satisfactory. Then Mr. C will say, this is below par. So you need to have upfront trained your panel members to be able to identify, okay, what is basic, what we qualify as what? Intermediate, what we qualify as proficient, what we qualify as what? Advanced or mastery. Because competencies are in what? In levels. Typically, maybe from 0, which is not at all, to maybe 5, which is, in fact, this should be the benchmark of capability at these levels. So there are different types of competencies. So let's look at some examples. Innovation and problem solving in no particular order, please. Okay. Development and coaching, business and product awareness, customer focus, communication, teamwork, motivation and support, drive and commitment, direction and purpose. Now, there is also an image on the screen right now, okay, showing leadership competencies. Don't forget again that the core of this presentation is on leadership. Okay, so these are some of the attributes a leader should have. A leader at any level should be what? Visionary. And by that, it means they should be able to understand and have the capacity to translate strategy to work group requirements. Okay, so some of the things that a visionary leader competency should demonstrate, okay, could include communication of vision and purpose, developing structure and processes, okay, understanding the competitive environment, okay, knowing one's own organization. Then, as a tactician, what does it mean to be a tactician? Ensuring results are achieved by effective planning, okay, work delegation, responsibility, and performance review from time to time. So some of the competencies as a tactician will include directing outcomes, delegating decisions, managing budgets and expenses. Are you with me? Another key competence is what? Facilitating. As a facilitator, what would you require to do? Creating an environment of collaboration or partnership to ensure what? Effective working relationships. And so you won't be a leader if what you are creating is a toxic work environment, because a toxic work environment is not an enabling environment, and consequently you won't be a facilitator. So some of the key competencies as a facilitator you should possess in no particular order will include negotiating, persuading others. You are not using force, okay? Listening, okay? Then speaking. Note, listening comes before speaking, okay? And it's not just speaking effectively. Leading teams, adapting to cultural differences. Last but not the least, okay? As a leader or a potential leader, or you need to be a contributor, okay? Creating organizational success by contributing their personal talents, experiences, and abilities. Even many times you need to contribute even your network, okay, to the organization. So as a contributor, you must absolutely understand business issues, both in your organization, in the industry, both micro and macro economic issues. You must be able to make decisions. You absolutely must be able to understand business fundamentals and drivers. Okay, all right. So competency-based interviews are designed to elicit information about the candidate's experience and accomplishments that relate to the competencies required in the target job. So which means I may have, just saying hypothetically, 35 competencies, 35. And the role that I'm applying for may require maybe 30 competencies. Now, let's assume I am just, so to speak, in quotes now, just too good. It's possible that out of my 35 competencies, 30 of my competencies will overlap or intersect the 30 competencies required for me. That's what's in there. But do you know that it could also be that even though I have 35 competencies, only 10 of them intersect with the 30 that is required in this other role. Again, competencies are included and should be included in like a competency profile. So you should have a competency profile from every given job. You know, when you do your job analysis and you have the job specifications, okay, the requirements, then you need to even go in further detail. Because if you say you need a leader, you need to be able to say leadership at what level? Basic, intermediate, proficient, or advanced, or mastery. And you have those categories for all the aspects. Why do you need to take this trouble? Because it is for a leadership role. You can't just hire any other person. So you may also need to determine that are there other types of assessment methods that will be used during the what? Selection process. Excuse me, I hope I'm communicating. I hope you are following and I'm adding value towards this beautiful afternoon. So I mentioned earlier about what the competency profile. And in my example, I said I may have maybe a role may have 30 competencies. Now, it may be practically impossible, or well, maybe not impossible, insane to necessarily want to test for all the 30 competencies, depending on the volume of time at our disposal. So you may want to now narrow down to say what are the top 5 or top 7 competencies required. Now, if you look at an array of competencies, you'll be able to group them into families. So let me use the university as an example. So you know we have departments. So take competencies as department. Then you now have what we call faculty. So a faculty, you know, mirrors slightly or closely related departments. So you now want to identify the umbrella competencies that chances are, if you have this competency, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 some competencies can be a given, because it will be very difficult to be able to have that overarching competency and not be able to display mastery or excellence with respect to the sub-competencies. Okay, so now, again, when you are doing competency-based assessment, you use structured interview. Okay, it's not freestyling. Okay, it's not haphazard, and let me use it. It's not as you are led. No, okay, you are structured, you are intentional, and you are purposeful. Okay, you are benchmarking and meticulous. Okay, and the questions can be, for example, behavioral interview questions, which focuses on how you acted in certain contexts and situations, and it can be situational interview questions. So, for example, most case study-like questions could most likely be either situational or behavioral. You know, things like, what would you do in a situation where one of your staff slumps and dies? God forbid. But it's a possibility, and it has happened. Okay. Now, how are you able to respond to that seemingly difficult, unromantic question? So, it's situational interview questions. Okay, focus on specific scenario case where the details of a scenario can reveal the candidate's skill. Okay, not just skills, thought process. Now, I will prioritize your thought process to this. You may have skill for something. If you don't know what to do, or if you don't know that it is important, if your thoughts can't take you there, you will not be able to relate, connect your capacity with the problem. And that's where thought comes in. Data interview questions ask candidates about their previous achievements or experience. Okay, asking questions like, tell me about a time you, okay. So the way this interview question is framed helps draw on the candidate's experience, okay, so that you can know if it is a good indicator of a potential future behavior performance. Okay, if you have done it before, so to speak, you can do it again. And this also another type of assessment that is popular, or they can be demanding, time consuming. I've participated in this assessment many times, both as the candidate and also as the facilitator, okay? And it is called assessment center, okay? So for those of us on the call, if you have participated either as a candidate or administrator or facilitator in assessment center, just say yes or in the chat box. Just say yes or no yes or yes or is behind the yes. Okay. Now, an assessment center typically wants to simulate a literal work experience. So like a typical work day. And the duration is typically long. It can be like a full day, like 8 to 4. Some can even be 2 days. And you have an array of activities and exercise, okay, from the introduction to meeting the employees, to role plays where your roles are not defined, to role plays where your roles may be defined. It could include case studies, it could include in-trade exercises, it could include group problem solving, okay, business simulation, and psychometric tests, and so on and so forth. Now, for example, if you are in an interview, if you are in an interview and I'm a member of the panelists, and I'm asked you a question like this: are you a leader? Chances are, even if you are not a leader, you will tell me, yes, I'm a leader. But if I say something like, can you tell me of a situation where you used or demonstrated leadership? Aha, you have to tell me a story. And from that story, if I pay attention, I'll be able to uncover if you are saying the real truth or the absolute truth. Nobody on this call lies. I have evidence to prove that. Just kidding. However, imagine that we are now doing an assessment center, and in the assessment center, note, just in case one or two people are not familiar with it, what happens in the assessment center is that all the candidates are involved in it concurrently at the same time. So imagine 5 of us are pitching for a leadership role or pitching for an opportunity, and they give the 5 of us a case study, 1 to read and 2 to discuss. I'm just saying this as an example. Do you know that some people, by their natural disposition, they are outspoken, they are outgoing, they may want to dominate the conversations because that's who they are. They don't mean any malice. Do you know that there are also some people, because they are introverted, if you are not careful, they may not see anything. Now, how would you pick a leader? A leader, for example, would be the one that will say, hey, hold on, gentlemen. Ajoke has not said anything since morning. Olajoko has not spoken yet. Let's give everybody a fair chance of contributing to this discourse. Aha! Don't you see that that is leadership material? If you are not leadership, you will just be focusing on, let me convince the facilitators that I understand the case. Let me convince them that I know what to do. Let me shine. No. So you can see how a case study, for example, can, in a natural phenomenon, natural environment, okay, uncover key competencies. So you can see how people can disagree and disagree respectfully. Okay, I'm trying to see what I can cover in the interest of time. So I'll be a little faster now. So guidelines for competency-based questions. Always aim to ask the questions in the past tense. So if you are the one responding to, speak about it in the past tense. Okay. Focus on the actions the candidate took. So focus on the actions, the steps you took. As much as possible, take notes during each interview. Okay, as an interviewer, you need to take notes so that you're not carried away. Okay, the interview should be done in gaps. In other words, in a team. I don't recommend 1, so 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, debrief afterwards on effective versus less effective questions you might have asked the candidate. Use rating scales and base your decisions on evidence, not emotion. Evidence. So, you know, I've been in interview panels, the panel member will say, that guy doesn't have energy. Then you ask and say, how do you define energy? How did you measure the energy? Someone like me, I may permanently come across as I have energy because I'm extroverted. Does it now really mean I will have energy in those situations? Maybe not. Someone may also be reserved. So you need to say, if we want to pick a candidate that has energy, the work is, so what competencies identify energy? How do we know energy at basic level? How do we know energy at intermediate level? How do we know energy at proficient level? How do we know energy at mastery level? These things should have been discussed and agreed upfront, not after you have met 2-3 candidates. Are you with me? I hope somebody is getting value. So when, excuse me, so this is an hypothetical competency evaluation there. So even if you have an assessment, you are going for an interview, and you have seen the marking script, back in the days, when some of us were in secondary school, if you had a teacher as a family member and you saw WAEC marking scheme, somehow it preps you to respond that you don't necessarily need to ask for more sheets to pass your WAEC exams, because when you check the marking scheme, you will see that it will ask pointers to say, look for this, and grade. So the first person, okay, is 0. 0 means no evidence. So you are looking at your competency, say leadership. There may be no evidence of competency issue. The other one could be poor evidence. Okay, the person lacks the competencies, very poor. Okay, the other one could be little evidence. The person has some evidences, but while there are some competencies, there are also areas of concern. The person may also have what? Maybe satisfactory, has reasonable evidences of what? Competence. And lastly, but not the least, the person may be what? Excellent. How do we know this person is excellent? There are what? Strong evidences of the competence. Let me just pause for like 30 seconds again. So 0 is the smallest point or score, while in this instance, 4 is the smallest score. So in doing your work, it can be 1 to 5. This is just hypothetical. 0 means no evidence. Hopefully, if somebody is on 0, you begin to wonder how did that person's CV got screened. So again, when you are applying for roles, you want to have a good, reasonable idea of the key competencies of the job or role you are applying for, and you want to make sure that your CV already reflects those key competencies. So if the organization is using, for example, an applicant tracking system, or it's a physical recruiter scanning manually, those competencies must drop at them. And that's why we say don't have just one CV for all applications. Certain applications in the job advert, they even spell out certain competencies. I'm not trying to say you should manipulate your resume, but I don't want a situation, and I see this a lot. People have certain competencies, certain capabilities, but their CV is not reflecting it. Therefore, they don't get shortlisted in the first place. On the flip side, some people also have these capabilities written on their CV, and when they do the interview, you are like, oh, the Rome Business School package this CV for you. I need a career unit. I'm just joking. If you go to Rome Business School, you will be even better than what the CV says. Are you together? Now, when I was speaking earlier, I said something about what you have done and how you feel. Now, let me say this quickly at this intersection. Okay. The best way to think, there are different ways to think, but the best approach to thinking is through models. I did a session on this just last week. It's on my YouTube page on how to handle case studies. And I used like 5 models. I quickly mentioned them here. Now I'm using a model here that I did not use in that particular case. Now, today, we are looking at the what? The STAR technique, which is situation. Detail the background, provide a context where and when. So STAR technique is a model. The task, describe the challenge and expectations, what needed to be done and why. A stands for what? Action. Elaborate on specific action. What did you do? How? What tools did you use? R for results. Explain the results, accomplishments, recognitions, the savings, and so on and so forth. Of course, use data. Now, just to quickly mention, the core technique or approach here is STAR. But there are other techniques. For example, the ADDIE model. Analyze, design, develop, implement, and evaluate. That's another example. You can use David Ulrich's model if you're an HR practitioner, okay, an HR business partner, okay, an employee champion or advocate, an administrative expert, change management. Using those quadrants, you can use the PDCA, okay, the Plan, Do, Check, Act from project management, okay, and so on and so forth. In fact, you can use the 7S concept by McKinsey. So I'm just trying to tell you that when you see people who appear to be in control of their thought process end to end, 90% of the chance, this is my theory, they are using a model. When you use a model, you will always think clearly, consistently. Okay, so again, STAR approach has been proven to be very good, especially as a candidate when approaching interviews, competency-based interviews. If you are also the panel member, you can also tell the candidate to say, look, use this approach, tell us the situation, tell us the action, tell us the results, and so on and so forth. So make sure that competency-based interviews, okay, relates to the role, not random competencies. Okay, it will gauge your awareness of the organization and of the industry. Okay, it will judge how employing you will benefit the organization. Okay, let me quickly say this here. All right, there is no, when you go for an interview, especially at this our level, leadership, there is no joke question. Permit my English. No question is a joke. Even if they say, oh, I'm just teasing you up, the interview has not started. Please, every interaction with the potential organization or potential recruiter, you must take it serious. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you should not smile or laugh, but any comment, you know how police will say in movies or in US, I don't know if they say it in Nigeria, that anything you say can be used against you in the court of law. You must be that serious. Look, what are the focus areas of any organization? I know you know it, but let me remind you. One, they want to make money. And it's defined in different ways. Even for NGOs, they may call it donations or grants or contributions. Okay. For government organizations, they may call it revenue, taxation. But every organization needs inflow to be able to run the organization. That's one. Two, every organization must be able to manage their costs. No matter how much you earn, you can outspend it. So inflow, cost. Third, quality and outcomes. I'll just leave it at that. So even when they say, tell us about yourself, speak about yourself, your experience in such a way that will show how you will help the organization make money, or how you have helped organizations in the past to make money, how you will help your organization save costs, how you have helped organizations in the past save costs, and how you have either improved quality, sustained quality, or taken quality to the next level. Okay, I'm trying to be mindful of my time. If my moderator can send me a chart to give me a sense of how many more minutes I have or may not have, it will be helpful. Okay, fantastic. So as an employee or a candidate, you also should know yourself. So one of the philosophers is not Plato, but he said, to yourself be true. To yourself be true. Now, you may check out a role. Maybe you want to become a managing director. Okay, maybe that's your aspiration. You want to enter C-suite. Maybe you're not in C-suite yet. You can go on LinkedIn, for example, okay, and check what are the competencies required. What are the job functions? Excuse me. What are the competencies? Or ask HR that, look, I'm aspiring for this role in the organization. Can you share with me the job descriptions, the core competencies? You will now ask yourself, benchmark, are you unconsciously incompetent? In other words, you are incompetent, but you don't even know it. Or are you consciously incompetent? In other words, you don't know it, you don't have the skills, and you know that you don't have it. Or are you consciously competent? In other words, you know it, and you know that you know it. You know what you know. Or at a certain level, and this is what happens to people who subscribe themselves to continuous learning, and people who come to organizations like Rome Business School, to enter into what? Unconscious competence. In other words, you develop capabilities and competencies across board that you didn't know you now have. You may not even know that you needed it. Thank you so much, Leticia, because right now, I'm now consciously conscious of my time limits. Before, I was working in the realm of unconscious timing. Okay, we are good. All right. So you need to know. So when you know where you fall, for example, in this ladder, in this platform, you can now have a roadmap for personal, professional development. So maybe there are 20 competencies. You already are good in 10. When I say good, maybe 5 of them you are mastery, 5 of them you are proficient. Then what is your plan to move from proficient to mastery? Maybe some you are basic or just intermediate. What is your plan to scale up, okay, to the next level? So maybe if you are basic, don't be overly ambitious. First scale up to intermediate, then from intermediate, scale up to proficient, then from proficient, scale up to mastery advanced. Don't try from basic to want to go to advanced, because things may not be as fast as possible. Don't forget what Malcolm Gladwell wrote in his book, the concept of 10,000 hours. Okay, that when you invest time and energy around certain capabilities, you develop what competencies around this. So the journey starts now, and the journey starts way ahead of the opportunity. I'd like to reiterate this fact, and somebody needs to listen to me now and listen to me. The journey starts now, and the journey starts way ahead of the opportunity. If you are just saying, so if there's a job advert now, and you are just saying the competencies or the job description, the JD, what you don't have, it may be too late to bridge the gap. So some people say, Oluyemi, help me. I'm like, I'm not a miracle worker. I am a process person. Join Rome Business School. Go through the 1 year, the 18 months, the 2 year, whatever pace you are going. And most likely, during your program, and before the end of your program, and after the program, you will have developed all these competencies across the various modules of the program and they offer. Are we together? So when you see some of us and they say, oh, he has this certification, he has this education, it's not because we like reading. It is because we don't like poverty and we want to be ready when our opportunity is ready. Are we together? Now, there was a survey that I saw. Okay, so I'm posting on now, and I'm ending on leadership. I'm focusing on the home run on leadership. Now, a survey was done, okay, recently, and these are senior professionals, senior industry icons, and this was the aggregate of the survey review. Okay, so they are looking at competencies like connection and belonging. Connection and belonging. Okay, now what are some of the things, okay, that fall into this? Then another one competence here is what? Nurturing growth. How do you nurture growth? So it's one thing for you to be good, it's another thing for you to enable your team members, your colleagues to become good or better. They also look out for efficient learning. You have the capability to learn, relearn, and unlearn. They also watch out for what? Self-organization. Yes, you may have a BA, but are you self-organized? Last but not the least, okay, they are looking at strong ethics. Excuse me. Strong ethics and safety. Strong ethics and safety. So some of these other points here, okay, for example, no particular order now. As a leader, would you and do you provide safety for trial and error? Can your team members make mistakes? Are you trying to help them? Are you trying to grow the next generation leader? I said this and I say it respectfully. The last 3 jobs I've held, I came in from outside the organization to join the organization. On the last 3 occasions, without fail, I was replaced by someone internal. Why? Once I join an organization, I identify possible successor, identify what we need to do, discuss and agree with the possible successors, and we work with it. In fact, one of the ways I know it's time for me to leave an organization is when I know that I can hand over to someone internally. Are we together? Okay, building the next generation of leaders. Can you help create a feeling of success? Or if we fail, are we together? And again, I'm not a football fan, but I like slogans that are world class. Liverpool will say, you don't walk alone. It doesn't matter whether you're an Arsenal fan or you're a Ghana, okay? And I'm not throwing charges right now, I'm speaking leadership. As a leader or a potential leader, you must have that mentality. You must work with that framework that your team, you are together, good or bad. Okay, all right. Don't cast your subordinate. Let me use another word. Don't throw them under the bus. Okay, especially in public. You must be open to new ideas and approaches. Okay, you must be able to communicate often and openly. The best idea should be not hierarchy. Okay, you must be committed to ongoing training, flexible enough when you have new information, new insights, new data, or new outcomes to change your opinion. Okay, it's one thing to be, and I'm saying this respectfully. One of the category of people that can be rigid are the very educated people. Why? Sometimes they don't like to change their opinion. Yes, when you formed an opinion, it was formed based on certain premise, based on certain insights, based on certain data sets. What if there has been a shift in the data sets? Okay, once you get new information, you have to literally divorce your former position and embrace the future. Yesterday is gone, we are in today. You must be able to provide goals and objectives with guidelines and directions. You must be able to what? Maintain high ethical and moral standards. A lot of organizations sometimes lose market share, lose their share value capital, lose their clients when they cross the ethical lines. If you don't understand, ask people like Tiger Woods, how much he lost in terms of investments and endorsements. He just used a sporting illustration. I don't want to mention any organization, but there are one or two organizations that we use in case studies even in business schools today because of ethical dilemma. Okay, all right. So, what's competency, leadership competencies? Okay, according to the Society for Human Resource Management (SHRM), leadership competencies are what? Skills and behaviors. Okay, that contribute to what? Superior performance. So my key focus here is what? It's not just performance. My key focus is what? Superior performance. So there are leadership skills, capabilities. There are also leadership behaviors, actions, how we react, how we respond, what we do when we do it, that contribute to what? Superior performance. The difference between good performance and superior performance is massive. It's what? It's like the difference between US and Togo in terms of economic development. I need that to sink into your medulla oblongata. The difference between good performance and superior performance is the difference between Canada and Cameroon. Do you understand? With this image, I think today, you will henceforth commit to superior performance, and leadership competencies is what will help you achieve that. How do you achieve this? Okay, by using a competency-based approach to leadership, organizations can better identify and develop their next generation of leaders. This is very germane. This is very fundamental. So let's look at some leadership competencies again. I'm spending quality time because this gentleman, okay, John Maxwell, who is one of the progenitors of leadership as a school of thought, says that everything rises and falls on leadership. John Maxwell said, everything rises and falls on leadership, both individual leadership, organizational leadership, national leadership, community leadership, societal leadership. Excuse me. So the first key leadership competence is what? Leading the organization. Managing change. Are we together? Solving problems, making decisions, okay? Managing politics and influencing others, okay? Taking risks and innovating, setting the vision and strategy, managing the work, enhancing business skills and knowledge, understanding and navigating the organization. And this is very key, especially in this VUCA environment that we are here right now at this time. Apart from, next to leading the organization is leading self. Okay, so a person without a personal vision cannot drive an organization with a vision to succeed. Therefore, a vision, an organization that has a vision, when they are sourcing for a candidate for leadership roles or even entry-level roles, they are looking for potential employees with what? With a vision. Then they now look for an alignment between their individual vision and the organizational vision. Just like a man and a woman, both must be passionate, not that only one part will be passionate. So leading self, if you can't lead yourself, you can't lead your team. You shouldn't be the one to call out your team to say, let's work hard. You should be demonstrating hard work. You shouldn't be the one calling out your team to demonstrate commitment. You should be exuding commitment. You shouldn't be the one. So, for example, anybody who knows me personally here and who is my friend, either a professional or family, will know I'm a stickler for continuous education. That's why you can catch me. That's why I've been running a PhD program. I have 42 published papers. 42 published papers. Do you get that? Leading self. So when I'm trying to encourage you to, enroll with Rome Business School, you can't look at me and say, okay, what have you done? When you see what I've done, you say, this man must know what he's saying. Self-leadership. 3, leading others. Okay, communicating effectively, developing others, valuing diversity. So things like inclusion, things like equity, okay, matters there. Being able to know that people will be different. You know, if this was a physical class, I would have asked if there's anybody here who is blessed with a set of twins. And you will realize that even twins who are conceived at around the same time, who are delivered at around the same time, their character is different. So you must value diversity, both cultural, political, and so on and so forth. Leading others also include building and maintaining relationships, managing effective teams and work group. Okay, last but not the least, which is also very critical, at the level of leadership, you must be able to manage a project. And I'm saying this in an intellectual context. One thing I like about academics is the hollow chamber. You can say your mind. There's a project right now. It's because certain people didn't manage it very well. That's why some of them listening to me right now don't have cash. Managing projects is very, very important. A project is anything that has a start and end time. You cannot break through into leadership if you don't master project management methodologies. And you must become very competent at mastery level or advanced level with areas of analytical thinking. You don't take decisions or make calls based on emotions. You must be able to, you must be adaptable. Agility is key. You must apply technology. Okay, you must what? Be diplomatic. You must be able to hear information and present it in a way that will join things together, not so distant. You must drive for the results, impact and influence. And you will agree with me, esteemed members of Home Business School, that these competencies, capabilities, among others, are the kind of value you get by enrolling in this prestigious organization. Just before I leave this particular slide, again, leading others will require what? Ability to communicate effectively. You must focus on your communication. I'm a member of Toastmasters International. I joined over 13 years ago. Communication, communication, communication. Yoruba people will say not being able to talk is the beginning of poverty. You can say it's English translated, it's Yoruba translated to English. Develop others, value diversity, and so on and so forth. Okay, for leading the self, again, just recapping, you must demonstrate ethics and integrity. One bad move, all the castle you built will come crumbling down. Display drive and purpose, exhibit leadership posture and stature, increase your capacity to learn, increase your self-awareness, develop adaptability. There's a word we use now, and it is true, resilience. Resilience. you must become more and more resilient. You may not get more resources, but when you are resilient and you are what? Resourceful, you'll be able to come up with solutions. You'll be able to, you'll be like wind. You can't be caught. Can you catch the wind? No, you can't. You'll be like water. You'll be able to, you'll be flexible. You can meander your way. Okay. You'll be like the rock, because after the storm, you will still be there. You'll be like that solid rock. Okay. So leadership competencies, again, let's use another lens to say the same things, but so that we can reinforce it. Create a vision, strategic ability, innovation management. Drive division. How do you drive division? Communications, written, spoken, body language, email, and so on and so forth. Achieve results. Decision making, client focus or stakeholder focus. Are we together? Team management, okay, team leadership, motivating and encouraging the heart. Personal effectiveness, 5 components here. Self-awareness, self-regulation. This comes from what? Emotional intelligence. You must be approachable. You must have compassion. A better word for compassion would be what? Empathy. Empathy. You must be able to put others in your shoe, and you must be able to put yourself in other people's shoe. Both ways, not one way. I'll say that again. Put yourself in other people's shoe and put other people in your shoe. If you do one leg, you won't get the right results. Okay. Ethics and value. All right. So let's see if you can take 1 or 2 more strides. Excuse me, 1 or 2 more slides. And this time is not on my side. I'll stop completely on this page, because from my heart, I have a connection that I've been able to sufficiently drive home, marshal my things, and to steer you to the next level of actions and steps. I can see that people are making adjustments, and anytime from now, greater levels of opportunities will unfold, and you'll be able to earn it or merit. Okay, now look at this model. Okay, look at the leadership competencies. There are 4 cardinal points. Okay, I'm rounding up now. I told you at the beginning that when you want to hire people, you look at both their current competencies and their future potential. Now, on leadership too, the same concept, the same philosophy, leadership competencies and leadership potential. Please pay attention. So what are the leadership competencies you need? Your people leadership or management capability. People, things like inspirational leadership, things like execution, getting done, things done through other people. Next, relationship leadership. In other words, ability to influence people, ability to collaborate, abilities to get others to collaborate. Third, business leadership. Okay, direction, business judgment, business acumen. Fourth, okay, entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial leadership. Excuse me. It doesn't matter whether you are working for an organization, you can be an entrepreneur. There are certain entrepreneurial skills we must carry, whether we are working for a third party or ourselves. Okay, because once you are entrepreneurial orientation, that's part of leadership. Any organization you find yourself, you will run things like you own it, and your disposition will be die here. We either we get rich or die trying. This company organization must break through. We must satisfy all the stakeholders. So under entrepreneurial leadership, cutting edge, okay, cutting edge information, cutting edge strategy and action, and we must be building talents. We are building other talents. So sustainability comes in. Now let's move to the potential aspects, leadership potential. First and foremost, okay, change potential. You see, no matter what we know today, we will know some new things tomorrow. How do we communicate and cascade it to the team? No matter how good our frameworks and models today are, there will be emerging frameworks, there will be need for adjustment. Many organizations introduce good things. However, the change management of the new good thing introduced was poor, and they will get a poor or some optimal outcome. Change potential, very, you need to develop that. Somebody on this board needs to develop that. The capability to manage change. 2, you need to what? Improve your intellectual potential. My gut tells me, because you're already in your own business school, you're already in that trajectory. Your intellectual potential. This must be key. 3, people potential. We need to be able to better manage people. Different kinds of people. Please, enough of complaining. Generation Z. If you like, be generation XIO or be generation artificial intelligence. I, Oluyemi Adeosun, I will understand you quickly and work with you, and we will get along. Doesn't matter whether you're a millennial, doesn't matter whether you are born in 1990. You are my homie, and we will deliver the results together. Last but not the least, your motivational potential. So don't forget 3 key areas in people management. Okay, you want to attract employees. 2, you want to retain employees. And 3, you want to do what? You want people to be motivated. So as a leader, whether there is money or there's no money, whether there is fuel or there's no fuel, whether there is cash or there's no cash, whether there is a dollar or there's no dollar, you must develop intentionally your motivational capability. And when we talk motivation, we're not talking aspire to perspire. When you motivate people, people will change their action. People will change their behavior. People will be influenced to do things differently in the overall interest of the organization. I think this is a very, very comprehensive talk. Madam Moderator, I hope this.
Wow, thank you so much. I mean, my book, I've been writing. Thank you. Such a value section. I appreciate your time. I have a couple of questions though, but before I ask that, I would like to say anyone that has questions, please use the chat box, so we can, take as much as we can within the conference of time that we have. So I learned so many things, but I would like to say some of my light bulbs here. I conduct a lot of competency-based interviews, most of the times, but you mentioned something, determine energy level. I don't think we talk about this a lot. So most times what we are doing, okay, we know the role, the requirements and all of that, but what is the energy level we are looking for? So are we mapping roles are we mapping roles to people, or are we mapping people to roles? This I would like to know. Then recently I conducted this competency-based interview for my people here. The energy level between those that are coming or seeking to join in your organization and those that you already have, there are 2 different things. So I would like to know, is the approach the same or different when you are conducting this interview for people seeking to join your organization and when you are conducting this competency for people you already have in your organization? I want to know if the approach is the same. And for me, even when I did this, assessment for both leadership role and non-leadership role, I want to know, is that a right approach? Can we use the same approach for these 2, both leadership and non-leadership role? Thank you.
Okay, first and foremost, I must confess that you have asked very challenging questions. Okay, and I must thank you for that, because it's also a reflection of the fact that you truly listen to this conversation. So I will attempt to provide some insights, my personal thoughts, and we can also research and study. The first question we put out is, are we trying to marry people to goals or marry goals to people? Now, the reality is that it is not unidirectional. It is bi-directional. Okay, I'll say that again. It is not unidirectional, it is bi-directional, which means we are marrying both people to goals and we are also marrying goals to people. So some goals may match some people and some people may not match some goals. But where you get that equilibrium of the goals matching the people and the people matching the goals, we will get the best outcome from a sustainable perspective, from a result perspective. Okay, you will see that those kind of people will be more self-motivated. Now, the other question, which is also very, very deep, and I didn't see that coming, and comes up to you because I tried to simulate potential questions ahead of any session around it. Okay, you talked about energy levels. Okay, for both internal candidates and external candidates. Now, I'm going to be very, very practical here. And what I'm saying is my opinion. My opinion is, I would say that if I am watching for energy levels, my percentage for people who have been internal, especially who have done like 2 years and above, my cutoff mark will be marginally lower than for external people. And I can explain. So if for energy now, I want excellence, my excellence starts from 75 to 100. If for people outside, I am on 85, I can come to 75 for people in Canada. And I can explain. I'm sorry, but I'm very practical. It's like when Nigerians just get to Canada or US, their energy level is different from a Nigerian who has been there for 10 years. 2, is different from a Canadian that was born there. Maybe I'm going too far. Just go to South Africa there. The way Nigerians in diaspora also is not the way they also here. So there's this subtle, so I will make allowance for it. I'll just make sure that it's not significant. So to recap, I'm not going to say internal people, I'm checking you at mastery level, and external people, I'm checking you at proficient level. It will both be either mastery, or advanced, or proficient. But within that range, I may now have a slightly lower threshold because I know that it is natural that after a time, things slow down. There is what we call in street palace initial gragra. So we must discount for the initial gragra. And if you don't know what initial gragra is, please meet Madam Letitia after now for coffee. She will explain to you. The last question from you just now, which I also think is extremely profound. You asked something about leadership role and non-leadership role. I will say this without being equivocal, that leadership role, the assessment is completely different from non-leadership. What do I mean? You see, it's like even when we step it down from leadership to management, once you are a C-level, for example, you are not just minding your business, you are minding our business. So you can, but some other roles, maybe a functional role, a technical role, your own can be, oh, I'm doing payroll. Let me just make sure that there's no error in the payroll. Let me just make sure that the people sending input for payroll, what they sent is what I did. No, leadership, you take ownership for yourself and for the successes and setbacks by others. So you take full responsibility. So when you are in a management meeting, for example, you are listening to everybody's contribution and mentally interrogating it, not to critique, but to add value. Again, to close up, that doesn't mean that when you are doing assessments, competency assessment for non-leadership group, it doesn't mean that there won't be leadership metrics there. But maybe for leadership role, maybe it is between prolific and mastery. Maybe for a non-leadership role, the range can now be from basic to intermediate. Not that we will now expunge leadership. Man, even if it's a cleaner, I'm looking for leadership potential. Even if you're a driver, me or if I'm on any panel, and you will drop the ball needlessly. My 2 cents. Thank you once again for those beautiful questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. We have just a couple of minutes to end the session. I would like to hand over to Justina, but before I do, something you said that I thought is epic. It's not knowing how to communicate is the beginning of poverty. I thought that was epic. So thank you so much. And apologies for those that have questions we may not be able to take because of time, but I'm going to hand over to Justina now to go ahead with what is remaining. Thank you so much, Mr. Oluyemi. I appreciate it. Yes. Justina? Okay, I would just, can we have Olayinka Ayokunle, please kindly unmute and ask your question while we wait for Rome Business School to take over. Olayinka, yes.
Yeah, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Yeah,
Yes.
actually, that's a powerful session. I actually want to request that if it is possible for us to get the recorded version of this seminar or the slide of it, it would actually benefit us a lot. So that's what I'm requesting for. Thank
you very much, Olayinka. The service unit will get back to you on that. Thank you so much. I don't know, Oluyemi Adeosun, can we hear you? Kindly unmute and ask your question or your contribution. Oluyemi. Okay, so Mr. Oluyemi, I don't know if you are still with us here. Okay, you are here. All right. Please, we still have time, so let me make use of this few minutes we have to ask this. So you talked about giving feedback. Of course, very important after interviews. People should, have get feedback from the organization. So I would like to ask, what are some common mistakes that job candidates make during these competency-based interviews for leadership roles? I mean, we are learning here so that we can know or learn more how to carry ourselves and ace these interviews.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
You are muted.
Thank you so much. The first, can you hear me now?
Yes.
The first common mistake I see relative to leadership roles is people not being strategic. It is too direct. Again, I mentioned earlier, don't take anything as a joke. So if you are asked a seemingly harmless question like, how do you unwind? Me, in an interview setting, I unwind will be different from real life. So if someone says, I'm just saying, this is an example, hypothetical. So if I say I unwind and I say something like, oh, I play golf at so-so country club so that I can network with, you are unwinding or you are building relationship. So if I tell you that, oh, I'm a member of Toastmasters, I enjoy public speaking as a hobby, I go there and meet high network people at a hotel. Someone will just say, oh, I sit behind Netflix and I'm watching it at home. Now, is it bad to watch movie? No. But you will see that how somebody online has value to the organization, like the other. So please don't treat any question bad. In other words, connect everything to the strategy. That how will I use my answer to make organization? How will I use my answer to reduce cost or manage cost for the organization? How will I use my answer to enrich the quality? I think if we get that, it is sufficient.
Thank you so much. I see Oluyemi. Sorry, I don't mean to murder your name. Kindly unmute and speak to us. Ayorinde. Okay, so while we're waiting for them to prepare for their question, can I go on with more questions? Okay, so
you can call the career service now. She's available.
Okay, she's available. Oh, fine. All right. So I call on Justice.
Yes, Letitia, you can take the question. You can take the question. Just the last question while we run.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. So how can the results that we get from this competency-based interview be used to inform a candidate's onboarding and even a development plan? How can we use that?
Okay. Thank you so much. Now, there are two types of candidates now. There's the external candidate and there's the internal candidate. People already inside, maybe aspiring for leadership. So we may not, sometimes we don't use the word assessment center, we may use the word developmental center sometimes. or as synonyms, depending on the student. See, when you do a competency-based interview and the panel are meticulous, rigorous, and they take notes, it will be like a typical performance appraisal session where skills and strengths will be identified, where areas of development will be identified. So if it's an internal candidate, for example, it's easy to now transmit that result to the L&D unit or to the line manager or all the stakeholders, including the employee himself, to say, oh, this, and then there are things the employee should embrace by themselves. There are things the organization will create and make provision for. Okay, now if it's an external candidate also coming in, the person may not be perfect in the sense that they ticked all the boxes, but maybe they are efficient in a number of things rather than mastery. And we are looking at both current and potential. Do you understand? We might have spotted the potential in you, but we need to accelerate the potential to quickly transit into the now so that we can begin to harvest results. Okay, don't forget that when you hire people, you need to get certain instant returns on investment, and you need to fast track their development so that as they are meeting the organization's need today, they are also being prepared to meet the organization's need for tomorrow. That way, we are building an agile, transformational workforce. It's also a type of succession planning. In other words, we are preparing people for the need of the organization tomorrow in some ways. So that would be my response.
Thank you very much. At this point, I would like to hand over to the service unit, Ms. Justina.
Okay, thank you so much, Letitia. Thank you so much, Mr. Yemi. This has been a very insightful session. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking time out to, go through the topic and also helping us to understand how we can explore a competence-based interview. Thank you so much, sir, for all the insights shared so far and even from your wealth of knowledge and experience in the field. Thank you so much, sir. We have Timothy. I can see some hands are still raised. Oh, the time is fast spent. Like we are really sorry that we can't take any more questions. You can also, Mr. Yemi, you can drop your LinkedIn profile so that people can connect with you on LinkedIn. So you can do well to reach out to Mr. Yemi, connect with him on LinkedIn. I'm sure that he would also be ready to connect with us. So also I got some people asking for the slide. All right, so for those asking for the slide, I drop a link. We have the e-research center. You can do well to visit the e-research center after this session. In less than 24 hours, the slide will be posted on the research center, so you could get access to that on the research center. And also, I'm trying to address some other questions. For the recordings also, you can get access to the recordings. We have our social media platform. You can get access to the recording of this session. For those who could not participate fully because of network issues from their end, or those who had some their device was low, whatever the case may be, or those who want to even go through the session once again, you could always rewatch this on our YouTube channel and also on our Facebook channel. So, all right, so right about now, I'll hand over to Timothy. I know Timothy is here already. Timothy, just to take us through the programs that we run here in Rome Business School. All right, Timothy, over to you. Didactic, please unmute Timothy. Hello, Timothy. Okay.
All right.
So, top of the evening to you all. My name is Timothy, and thank you so much for joining this wonderful session. And Letitia, thank you so much for the kind presentation, for hosting us. And then Oluyemi, thank you so much for this mind-blowing insight into all of this. So a thumbs up from my own end here, and thank you everyone. So what we do here at Rome Business School, so this is just the tip of the iceberg and what we deliver for every of our master's program. And then this is closely related when you talk about our human resources master's program, so which gives you more insight into managing resources, and not just that, also you being able to manage talent as well for the business growth. And we offer other master's program. And then for our Masters in Human Resources, we have a professional membership that you can always take advantage of, like the CIPM, that's the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, and also global membership with the HRCI as well. And then for every of our master's program, 14 master's program, we have the MBA, the Masters in Project Management. We have the Masters in Corporate Communications. We have Masters in Agribusiness Management, Masters in Marketing and Sales, Masters in Logistics and Supply Chain Management. We have the Masters in Data Science. We also have the Masters in Finance. We have the Masters in Entrepreneurship and Innovation. We have the Executive Masters in Digital Marketing and Business Transformation. We also have the International Masters in Project Management, also International Masters in Digital Marketing, as well as the International Masters of Business Administration. So all of these are what we offer. And this webinar session that we are currently having is also geared towards the Business Leadership Certification. So for our enrolled students, thank you for joining once again, because this is part of what we'll use to evaluate you in getting your business leadership certificates. So for those of you that are still contemplating or you're stuck in a process or the other, now is the best time for you to complete your enrollment status. So if you're having any issues, you can reach out to your advisor to move you on to the next stage. So for every of our master's program, we have a particular professional membership for each and every one of them. They can belong to some of this body. So these are the advantage of you running our master's program. Our learning flexibility is available. Payment flexibility as well is also available. So everything, our didactic methodology is also top-notch. And our career service, which is a very unique one, is also available to guide you through. Is it for career change? Is it for career acceleration? Is it even for entrepreneurship pathway? Our career service is here to guide you, to help you achieve all that you want in a one-year master's here at Rome Business School, Nigeria. So much more for us that we'll be offering you at Rome Business School. So if you have any issues or anything, you can reach out to us via our email, our website. You can go to our website, visit us at www.romebusinessschool.ng, and also you can send a mail to us at info@romebusinessschool.ng, as well as enrollment@romebusinessschool.ng. So we'll be glad to take you through all of these opportunities that you get at Rome Business School. So thank you so much, everyone. My name remains Timothy. I'll be handing over to Justina. Justina, thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Timothy. Thank you all. All right, so we have come to the end of today's session. I trust that it has been mind-blowing and we have a lot to take home. Let's do well to connect with Mr. Oluyemi on LinkedIn. And like I said, you can get access to the recording of this session on our YouTube channel. And also for the slides, you could also get access to that on the research platform. All right, thank you all for joining. Letitia, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was Really, really mind-blowing. Thank you for moderating the session so well. Mr. Oluyemi, thank you so much for all the insights shared today. We appreciate you for coming, for joining, and for also taking our time to go through the topic. There is no better justice to this than what you have done. Thank you so much all for joining. So on behalf of the Country Director of Rome Business School, in person of Dr. Humphrey Akanatu, and also the Dean, Professor Ragusa, we want to thank everyone for joining this session once again. See you all at the next session. Bye for now. I remain Justina. All right.